our Zulu king and queen today. Yes. Thank you, colleagues. Good icebreaker for the morning. Well, I think, colleagues, we indeed need to say thank you to the team from KZN under the leadership of Dr. Penniston. Today I am a real Zulu boy. Wow! And I must say, it even takes me further to my own heritage of the Queen son. So thank you, Dr. Penniston. Thank you for that. Okay. In this life and the environment we serve, it cannot be all work. Then you become a very dull person. We need to have some play and some fun as well. And that is what makes life worthwhile for us. Exams is stressful enough for us as individuals to have our heads bowed down in the pit every single moment of our lives. Please wake up. Wake up and start to enjoy life as well. Now, let me start off, colleagues. My name is Visagie. For those of you who don't know me, I'm going to say it, Dr. Polly, because nobody ever says it. 34 years in education. You've been hearing Dr. Polly 34 years in education. I've been a silent partner in the back seat. 34 years in education. 8 of those years as a teacher, maths and physical science and biology at a high school. 1996 with the new dispensation, I joined the Northwest Department of Education, set up and ran the EMIS unit in Northwest. 2001, I joined DVE in EMIS as well. But my first priority is, I've been an educator first and foremost. My hobby has been computers, information systems and data, and that is where I've eventually landed up. And I'm living my hobby first and foremost. And that's why I enjoy what I'm doing, colleagues. And that is important for all of us, to understand that we need to enjoy what we are doing. It's only then that you really make a difference in the lives of the citizens of South Africa, and more importantly, its children. And that's why we are here. That's why we are here. And I'm a bit concerned that, Dr. Polly, we tend to stifle the inputs from the audience. This is a Lekgotla, not a teaching session. We need to interact more with each other. We need to be talking and having robust discussions, which is going to lead to us understanding the strategic direction we want to move to as an education system. We cannot have the inputs coming from few individuals all the time. Colleagues, we have to wake up as a collective and take this country forward. We are in an extremely difficult period of our country, but we can make a difference. We can change this country. We can change the lives of our kids in this country and the future heritage. And that's why how I want to start my day. My first session is to do a recap of yesterday. And we start off with a welcome by the HOD for the KZN Department of Education, Mr Nkosinathi Ngcobo, who welcomed all our delegates to the kingdom and wished us well for our Lekgotla. Importantly, from his opening remarks, colleagues, was that he also alluded to the success of exam being used as a barometer to a well-run education system. Now we continually hear about this, that the NSC exams is the barometer for the education system. But yesterday we had some questions whether it should really be used as a barometer for the education system. And there were some concerns raised there. Secondly, we had our DDG, Dr. Barney Mthembu, also giving his own opening address. Now, Dr. Mthembu is indeed a guru when it comes to assessment and exams matters, and we are indeed blessed to have him as our DDG. We are looking forward to his guidance and understanding of the battle we face as assessment and examinations, and believe he will provide the strategic guidance that is needed to take assessment and examinations into the next century. He opened explaining our purpose of the workshop. He alluded to our journey since 1994 that we've had to cross. His exam babushka doll analogy paved the way for regular critical review, colleagues, that is needed with regards to our process. We have to keep our focus on the NEAC 7 objectives, and we must ensure that we have impactful, measurable objectives that we are talking to at the end of the day. I think that is critically important. We had our DG talking to us, and yes, we are indeed honored to have DG Mweli as our leader, and he sets the pace for all of us with his work ethic. DG congratulated KZN on the highest improvement in the 2022 NSC exams. He also alluded to the power of NEAC yesterday, and he indicated to us that he had to be at the portfolio committee and he actually prioritized NEAC for him to be here. So we have to keep to our focus, which is exam credibility, reliability, and integrity. And Dr. Polly in his opening remarks yesterday also alluded to this, colleagues. That is our objective, to ensure that our exams are credible, reliable, and are of the greatest integrity. Our jobs in the system is not to try and manipulate the outcomes of the assessment. We are exams officials. Our role is to ensure that the exam is credible, first and foremost. And DG alluded to that. He said to us, stick to your objective by ensuring that we are focusing on a credible, reliable, and an integrated and integrity exam. So, colleagues, we have to keep strengthening our curriculum by infusing the competencies for a changing world. He also alluded that we have made significant stride in the assessment environment. And DG asked us to look at what he has prioritized for NEAC, and you all recorded it, colleagues. And we need to stick to those priorities to ensure that we are taking exams and assessment further. Dr. Ponyo was next. And Dr. Ponyo started off with the phrase that change thinking changes actions. Change thinking changes action. Very powerful, Dr. Pauline. Very powerful message you left with our colleagues yesterday. Assessment refers to the gathering of evidence to make a judgment or describe the status of learning of an individual or group with reference to a learning objective or goals. We must ensure that our learners are thinking creatively and critically in the environment in which we are operating. Are we sure that our learners are indeed improving in their results? Doc, this was another issue you raised yesterday, and Doc and I have regular discussions about this. When we see the improvements in our results, colleagues, and what concerns us is whether we are sure that these improvements
are really contributing to the greater improvement of the learning that our learners are undergoing? Or, like Doc said yesterday, have we prepared a system of educators that have become so specialized in preparing for an exam that curriculum is by the wayside, but they are teaching towards the exam for our grade 12 learners? And we need to ask ourselves, colleagues, do we understand that concept? How sure are we that our curriculum is really bringing about the interventions that is needed in our system to take education in South Africa forward? And that's what we need to work on and keep and make sure that we are able to answer that question with regards to how we are moving forward. I think Prof. Ramathan from the University of KwaZulu-Natal made some interesting comments with regards to education. And I must say, colleagues, there is one thing that we are seeing from academics, that they have this view of what is happening in the education system, and it somehow differs to our thought patterns of what we tend to see what is happening in education. We see it with Prof. Janssen also, that we have this critical explanation of the emergency that education is in, and that we need to find ways of getting out there. And yesterday, I must say, we tended to hear that same scenario coming from the Prof again, that we need to understand what is the objective of the education system we are driving. Is it about providing information with regards to our high-stakes decision-making, or is it to deal with the political agenda that we are facing as a country? And colleagues, we honestly need to take a critical review of that and have an understanding of where we need our students to be in the future. You know, I am concerned, Doc, sometimes. My son says to me, you know, Dad, 12 years of schooling, what did I learn there? There's nothing I'm using in life. The only thing I needed should have been the ability to read and write. If I had the ability to read and write and I could obtain it within my first 4 years of schooling, I could have taught myself everything else. And importantly, colleagues, our environment is changing to such an extent with the technologies that are out there. And this is what the Prof also alluded to, that we need to keep track, else we are going to be left behind now. The changes we are seeing with artificial intelligence coming into the world and the ease of access to information is very concerning. And it's going to test us. Dr. Simelane, from a curriculum perspective, it's really going to test us. Whether what we are teaching our children is still in line with what our kids need to know in this changing world. And that is going to be critically important, colleagues. And then we went on in our presentations and we heard from the Kenyan colleague, which was a very insightful presentation from Ms. Ngatia from Kenya. There was a clear delineation from grade 12 to lower grade assessment. Again, colleagues, that concept, our focus on grade 12, are we really on the right track? And I can honestly say to you, I tend to agree. What I heard out of the Kenyan delegation is the importance of the shift away from grade 12. And that's what we need to wake up to. As NEAC, from an assessment perspective, if we want to strengthen our education system, we need to follow the inputs that came out of the Kenyan delegation. I believe we are still too focused on grade 12 performance as that barometer of our education system. And also, colleagues, I don't believe the Kenyan system is very different to our system. We have the same processes in place. We just need to improve our management of these processes. And we must work towards shifting our focus from grade 12. Emma took a presentation to the bone by giving us feedback from the provinces, districts, schools and learners on the system pressure for them to perform. And I hope we listen, colleagues. We must understand the impact these pressures are having on the system to perform and the impacts they're having on our learners as well as our teachers and our educators. And the stress we are putting them through because of this drive towards improved grade 12 results. Eventually, colleagues, if we don't change our tactics, the system is going to crack. And we've heard it even in Emma's presentation, that educators are leaving the educator corps in drones, and it's because of the stress we are putting them through. Emma asked the question, will the NSC in its current form improve quality education? Will the NSC in its current form improve quality education? Colleagues, are we able to answer this question categorically? Is it our intention that the NSC should be improving quality education? We have to ask ourselves, and we have to answer ourselves truthfully with regards to this. Keeping in mind that assessment remains a core part of curriculum, you cannot separate the two. She raised key concerns about what is not working in the system and why it is not working. Talking to marking and markers, finalization of the PUM, sign language, pressure on learners by schools, pressure on principals in schools, pressure on teachers in schools. She reminded us that the use of the word competency framework does not equate to a new curriculum that needs to be implemented. Competency is already built into our curriculum, but we need to improve on its implementation, colleagues. We must understand the impact of throughput and the culling of learners in the system. And I see it. I'm the systems manager at DBE, colleagues, and I raise it every year. But let me tell you, there are some people in the system that does not want to talk about this. We clearly see what schools are doing to our learners. And Emma has referred to that. And she's reminded us, colleagues, this must be on your agenda. You must be keeping track of this all the time. Subject changes versus credible certificates. Outcomes of educator and management indiscretions. Very important areas that Emma raised yesterday for us to be keeping track of and be thinking about, colleagues. That, in short, colleagues, was the inputs that emanated out of the speakers of yesterday. And as I said, very, very thoughtful, colleagues. And I hope that we've all really taken it in, and last night spent some time thinking about it, and thinking and thinking and thinking whether we are on the right track with regards to what we're doing. Questions that emanated out of yesterday. We need to ensure that we have a clear understanding about ELSN endorsement and what ELSN learners are. I think there is confusion. I just want to say, colleagues, remember that ELSN endorsement is a concession. But being an ELSN learner, you have a barrier to learning. And that is the key difference between those two. Artificial intelligence and the impact on learning versus rote learning. Doc, you raised it yesterday. In the next 4 years, our learners might be sitting with ChatGPT answering question papers, Doc. And they will be learning the responses in parrot fashion and coming into our exams and just regurgitating it. And we will probably say the education system is moving forward. We really need to keep track of what is happening with regards to these issues. Exam security, we've been talking about it for years. Human resources, shortages, space and funding, we've been talking about it for years, colleagues. But we are not really seeing a change in these issues within the environment in which we are operating. We need to look at the ground to improve exams, to become a world-class system. Data should not dictate theory. Rather, theory should dictate what we want to see from data. Extremely insightful. Our budgets need to be structured to deliver on our mandates. I think we still operate with too many unfunded mandates in the system, and we need to change that thought pattern as well. And Vision 2030, a question that came out yesterday, it's been threatened by the math shortfall we have in our country. And we really need to look at addressing these issues, colleagues. Well, okay, thank you. That is enough from me. I am now going to start off with Prof. Makaleka from the Wits School of Education.